Welcome to Millennium Daytime Bulletin. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's top headlines. Pakistani airstrikes on Afghanistan kills 46 people, Taliban official says. At least 32 passengers survived fairly plane crash in Kazakhstan as authorities fear dozens other dead. Zelensky condemned inhumane Christmas Day attack. Bald eagle officially declared US national bird after 250 years. China sets another world record with 58,000 tons cargo ship akin to Fujian aircraft carrier, Chinese media says. Saudi executions rose sharply in 2024. South Korea becomes super-aged society, new data shows. Global market begins in the week with mixed sentiments. The 2016 NBA Christmas Day Classic between the Cleveland Cavaliers and Golden State Warriors revisited. Caitlin Clark honored as AP Female Athlete of the Year following her impact on women's sports. Now let's look at the details. Bombardment by Pakistani military aircraft in Afghanistan eastern Paktika province on Tuesday killed at least 46 people, most of whom were children and women. The Afghan Taliban said, adding it would retaliate. 6 people were also injured in the bombing at 4 locations in Afghanistan, Deputy spokesperson Hamdullah Fitrat said on Wednesday. Pakistani government and military officials did not immediately respond to request for comment. Afghanistan's Foreign Office said it had summoned Pakistan's head of mission in Kabul to deliver a formal protest note to Islamabad on the bombing by Pakistani military aircraft. Warning the diplomat of consequences of such actions, Afghanistan considers this brutal act a blatant violation of all international principles and an obvious act of aggression. Anayatullah Khwarazmi, a spokesperson from the Ministry of National Defense, said in a statement, the Islamic Emirate will not leave this cowardly act unanswered. A Pakistani official, which also has the knowledge of the matter but declines to be named, told Reuters Pakistan had carried out airstrikes against a camp of Pakistani Taliban TPP, Islamist militant group. TTP pledges allegiance to and gets into name from the Afghanistan Taliban but is not directly a part of the group that rules Afghanistan. Its stated aim to be and to impose Islamic religious law in Pakistan as the Taliban has done in Afghanistan. A major TTP attack in Pakistan's South Waziristan area, which borders the location of the alleged camp targeted in Afghanistan, killed 16 people, security personnel on Saturday. Afghanistan's defense ministry identified those killed in Pakistan's bombardment as most Waziristani refugees, indicating that they were from Pakistan's Waziristan territory. The neighbors have a strained relationship with Pakistan, saying that several TTP attacks that have occurred in its country have been launched from Afghanistan soil, a charge the Afghan Taliban denies. The relationship was complicated in March when the Taliban accused Pakistan of carrying out 2 airstrikes on territory, killing 5 women and children. Pakistan said at the time it had conducted intelligence-based anti-terrorist operation in Afghanistan but did not specify the nature of operations. At least 32 people have survived after a plane burst into flames crashing near the Kazakh city of Aktau on Wednesday. Azerbaijani authorities said as rescue workers searched for dozens of other passengers feared death. Extraordinary video from the crash captured the moment dazed survivors emerged from the wrecked plane which was carrying 67 people on board. Azerbaijani airline flights J28243 was traveling from the Azerbaijani capital Baku to Grozny in Russian region of Chechnya before it made emergency landing approximately 3 kilometers from Aktau, the carrier said. Two of the survivors are children, Kazakhstani authorities said earlier Wednesday, adding that all have been taken to a nearby hospital. Kazakhstan's Ministry of Emergency Situations said its team found the aircraft on fire upon arrival of the scene, which also rescues unit extinguishing the fire on arrival. Video of crash showed the plane erratically circling the airfield before the crash. As it hit the ground, the aircraft burst into flame with blooded passengers emerging from the wreckage shortly after. One woman who joined the rescue effort told Radio Free Europe's Kazakh service that she witnessed a devastating scene that brought her to tears. The front part of the plane was on fire. We rescued the survivors. Their bodies were covered in blood. They were crying. Everyone was asking for help, Almira said. She didn't provide her first name, but there were people of all ages among the survivors, she said, including men, women, teenagers, and a small children as well. A little girl came out. She looked at me and said, "Save my mom is still there." She was crying and begging, "Please save her, save her." She said. Almira said that she had traveled by bus to the site of the crash and that she and other volunteers led survivors to the bus to prevent people from freezing. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky says Russia made a conscious choice by launching a major attack on his country's energy infrastructure on Christmas Day. Ukraine's Air Force said it had detected 184 missiles and drones, but many were shot down or missed their targets. It said that there were casualties from the strike but gives no figure. Moscow confirmed the attack and said its goal had been achieved. The attack led to power cuts across the country, including the capital Kyiv, where some residents sheltered in metro stations. Russian defense confirmed its forces had carried out a massive strike on critical energy facilities in Ukraine. It added that the strikes had been a success and all targets were hit. This was the 13th major attack on Ukraine's energy sector this year, the country's largest private energy company, DTEK, said. In September, President Zelensky said 80% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure has been destroyed by Russian bombs. Responding to Wednesday's attack, Zelensky said the timing had been a conscious choice. He called them inhuman and the work was being done to restore power as soon as possible. Russian evil will not break, Ukraine's will not distort Christmas, he added. This was the second time Ukraine has celebrated Christmas Day on 25 December. It traditionally followed the Julian calendar like Russia, where Christmas falls on 7th January. In the northeastern city of Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest, the attack left 500,000 people without water, electricity, or heating in bitterly cold temperatures, the regional governor said. Ukrainians across the country woke up to the sound of air raid alarms and were told to shelter as attacks unfolded in the morning. Kyiv residents sheltered in metro stations, with one local telling Reuters news agency that she felt angry and frightened. Of course, I want to be at home and celebrate, but we had to shelter because it's scary to stay at home, Sofia said. The bald eagle is now officially the national bird of the US after President Joe Biden signed a law on Christmas Eve bestowing the honor upon the white-headed and yellow-beaked bird of the prey. The bird has been a national emblem in the US for years, appearing on the Great Seal in the US, used on US documents since 1982, and it has been officially designated to be national bird until Congress passed the bill last week, sending it to Biden's desk to be signed. For nearly 250 years, we called the bald eagle the national bird when it wasn't, said Jack Davis, co-chair of the National Bird Initiative for the National Eagle Center in a statement, but now the title is official and no bird is more deserving. Not everyone has always agreed about the national status of the bald eagle. Founding father Benjamin Franklin objected to the creature being chosen to represent the country, calling it a bird of bad moral character. But not all Congress shared Franklin's sentiments. Bald eagles, like other eagles worldwide, had been seen by many as symbol of strength, courage, freedom, and immorality for generations. According to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, and unlike other eagles, the bald eagle was indigenous only to North America. The legislation designating the bald eagle as the national bird was spearheaded by Minnesota lawmakers. The state is home to what Senator Amy Klobuchar described as one of the nation's largest bald eagle population. The bald eagle is also protected under the National Emblem Act of 1940, which makes it illegal to sell or hunt the creature. The bird was once on the brink of extinction, but the population has greatly increased since 2009. The bald eagle bill was one of 50 pieces of legislation that the Biden signed into law on Christmas Eve, including a federal anti-hazing law to tackle violence and death of university campuses. The colossal vessel, measuring 256 meters in length and 51 meters in width, has a range of 16,000 nautical miles, equivalent to about 29,600 kilometers. The Chinese media report claimed the vessel can achieve speeds exceeding 15 knots, around 28 km per hour, and traverse area with small drifting ice floes, qualifying it as polar ready. The feat places the Fanzhou 8 among the most advanced commercial vessels in the world. Its deck size is compared to that of Fujian aircraft carrier, China's first domestically developed aircraft carrier. The ship's 5 test voyage began with the Taizhou Zhongzhang shipbuilding facility in the Zhejiang province, where the vessels underwent various professional sailing evaluation in the waters east of Shanghai. According to the reports, the ship passed all seaworthiness tests, which confirmed that it meets the stringent requirement of the Polar Code. The Fanzhou 8's deck occupies most of its hull and designed to carry diverse range of cargo, including offshore oil field equipments, wind and nuclear power machinery, and larger steel structures, which makes it versatile commercial shipping asset capable of supporting large industrial projects across various sectors. Creating such a vessel further strengthens China's position as a global leader in shipbuilding, particularly in producing specialized large-scale vehicles and ships. China's shipbuilding industry, which accounted for 59% of global orders last year, continues to demonstrate its dominance. The country has been advancing its capabilities to produce higher value vessels, reflecting its strategic focus on expanding its maritime infrastructure and industrial output. However, the ultimate purpose of the Fanzhou 8 remains uncertain, although it has been painted in civilian green with no aircraft markings. Chinese observers have compared its deck size to that of the Fujian aircraft carrier. This has sparked speculation about its potential military applications. Saudi Arabia executed 330 people this year, the highest number in decades, despite de facto ruler Mohammed bin Salman 2022 assertion that the death penalty had been eliminated except for murder cases under his vision for a new open kingdom. The country is spending billions to transform its reputation for strict religious restrictions and human rights abuses into that of a tourism and entertainment hub under the Vision 2030 plan launched by the Crown Prince, who is also known as MBS. The latest execution toll, compiled from execution announcement by human rights NGO Reprieve and verified by Reuters, is a big jump from the 172 total for last year and 196 for 2022. Reprieve said it was the highest ever recorded. This reform is built on a house of cards that is built on record number of executions, said Zaid, who works with Reprieve. Saudi Arabia denies accusation of human rights abuses and says its actions are aimed at protecting national security. More than 150 people were executed for non-lethal crime this year, according to the tally, which the right groups say it contrary to the international law. Those executions were mainly related to alleged drug smuggling amid a flood of amphetamine-like capture gun from Syria under the ousted President Bashar al-Assad. They also included people charged with non-lethal terrorism, a charge right groups say is often used against those who have participated in anti-government protests. The total include more than 100 foreign nationals from the Middle East, Africa and Asian regions. South Korea has become a super-aged society with 1 in 5 people aged 65 or older, official data shows Tuesday, underscoring the country's deepening demographic crisis. The number of people aged 65 and older stands at 10.24 million, accounting for 20% of South Korea's population of 51 million. According to the new data released by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety, the United Nations classifies country with more than 7% of the population 65 or older as an aging society, those with over 14% as an aged society, and those with more than 20% as a super-aged society. South Korea has been grappling with infamously low birth rates, dropping to just 0.72% in 2023, the world's lowest after years of decline. Countries need a fertility rate of 2.1% to maintain a stable population in the absence of immigration. According to the ministry's latest data, about 22% of women in South Korea are aged 65 or older, while the proportion of men over the age is nearly 18%. The Interior Ministry also said the data underscores the demographic time bomb that South Korea and other East Asian countries are facing as their societies are aging just a few decades after their rapid industrialization. Many European nations also face aging population, but immigration helped them to mitigate the impact. Countries like South Korea, Japan, and China, however, have shield away from mass immigration to tackle the decline in their working age populations. South Korean authorities have desperately sought to reverse the country's demographic trend, with President Yoon Suk Yeol in May calling for Parliament's help to establish a new ministry to tackle what he calls the national emergency. In the Americas, US markets shine brightly with all major indices posting solid gains. The Dow surged by 390 points, a 0.91% increase, signaling investor confidence in the blue chip stocks. The S&P 500 also climbed by 1.10 and the Nasdaq led the charge with an impressive 1.35% gain. Driven by tech sector strength, even the VIX, often referred to as fear-gauged, increased slightly but remains in a manageable range, signaling relatively stable sentiments. However, the broader region paints a different story. While Canada's S&P TSX indices edged up modestly, the Brazilian Bovespa tumbled by over 1%, reflecting investor caution amid local economic uncertainties. Mexico's S&P BMV IPC also dipped slightly, down by 0.27%. The divergence highlights the resilience of the US market despite regional headwinds elsewhere in the Americas. Investors globally will be in close monitoring Europe and the Asia Pacific region as those markets open, with the optimism in US tech and industrial sectors contrasting sharp regional declines in the Latin America. The global economic narrative continues to be one of mixed recovery. Stay tuned for more updates as the market remains dynamic and ever-changing. In today's spotlight on exchange traded funds ETF, we are seeing significant activity in leveraged ETF, with Tesla-related funds taking center stage. Leading the package is the Direxion Daily Tesla Bull 2X shares TSLL, which has surged an impressive 14.35%, closing at $36.42. The massive gains underscore strong bullish sentiments around Tesla's performance, likely fueled by recent innovations or robust earnings. Expectations are, however, on the flip side. The T-Rex 2x inverse Tesla daily targets ETF, which bets against Tesla, fell sharply by 12.29%, reflecting the high-risk nature of inverse leveraged ETF when the underlying asset rallies. Another mover to watch is the Direxion Daily Semiconductor Bull 3x share SOXL up by 3.01%. The semiconductor sector continues to benefit from global demand for advanced chip, especially with AI and EV technologies gaining traction. Meanwhile, bearish sentiment on the broader market appears subdued as seen in the Direxion Daily S&P 500 bearer 3x share SPXS, which dropped by 3.17%. This suggests optimism in the broader equity market. Finally, the SPDR S&P 500 ETF Trust SPY, a bellwether for the overall market, is up 1.1%, setting at $601.30 with steady gains and strong volume at 33 million. It highlights investor confidence in the ongoing market rally. Overall, today's ETF trends reflect a clear tilt towards optimism, particularly in Tesla and tech-heavy sectors. However, investors should remain cautious as leveraged ETF can amplify both gains and losses. Stay tuned for more updates on the dynamic markets. We'll be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi. Keep watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin. Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin. Cheering on your favorite NBA team or watching the very biggest stars of the baseball world is a welcome present for many on Christmas Day, and this year will be no different. One of the marquee matchups on December 25 sees Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors square off against LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers at 8 p.m. AT. But while James Curry and Draymond Green are reaching the twilights of their respective careers, fans will instantly be taken to their golden years of the trio, starring in what is widely seen as the best Christmas Day game of all times. We head back to Christmas Day 2016. The world was doing the Mannequin Challenge with Black Beatles by Ray Stamrand sitting atop by the Billboard Hot 100. Lamar Jackson had just won the Heisman Trophy and Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone were breaking hearts with La La Land. But the biggest blockbuster of all came at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland, Ohio, and the Christmas Day matchup between the Warriors and the Cavaliers. The franchises were solidified as two of the best across the NBA, and the just month prior, the teams had battled for the Larry O'Brien Trophy over 7 games in the 2016 finals. The Cave had come from 3-1 down to complete a historic 4-3 series win, and viewers were expecting another hotly contested matchup in the primetime Christmas Day slot, and they weren't disappointed. After the final loss, the Warriors responded by picking up 214 NBA MPV Kevin Durant to go alongside an already loaded roster which featured Curry, Green, Klay Thompson. This was Durant's first game against James and co. for the Warriors, and fans were eager to see how the newly formed Golden State squad would match up against Cleveland in what would eventually be the finals matchup come at the end of the season. Caitlin Clark raised the profile of women's basketball to unprecedented levels in both the college ranks and the WNBA, and Tuesday she was named the AP Female Athlete of the Year for her impact on and off the court. After leading Iowa to the national championship game, Clark was the top pick in the WNBA draft as expected and went on to win Rookie of the Year honors in the league. Fans packed sold-out arenas and millions of television viewers tuned in to follow her journey. Clark's exploits were far-reaching, casting a light on other women's sports leagues along the way. A group of 74 sports journalists from the Associated Press and Millennium and its member voted onto the award. Clark received 35 votes. Olympic gymnast Simone Biles were scored and the second with the 75, and boxer Emaine Kelf was third, getting 4 votes. Clark is only the fourth women basketball player to be honored as the Female Athlete of the Year since it was the first presented in 1931, joining Cheryl Swoopes 1993, Rebecca Lobo 1995 and Candace Parker 2008 and 2021. I grew up as a fan of Candace Parker and the people who come before me, and to be honored in this way is super special and I'm thankful, Clark said in a phone interview. It was great year for women basketball and women's sports. Shohei Ohtani won the AP Male Athlete of the Year on Monday for the third time. Clark broke the NCAA Division I career scoring record for both men and women, finishing her career with 3,951 points while guiding Iowa to its second consecutive national championship game. After her Hokies lost to South Carolina for the title, Gamecocks coach Dawn Staley took the mic during her team celebration and said, "I want to personally thank Caitlin Clark for lifting up our sport, for all the success Clark has had and the attention she has brought to women's basketball. She is and often the centerpiece of debates and online toxicity towards her and other players in the league." For her part, Clark has disavowed the toxic discourse. Lobo also has been impressed with the way the 22-year-old Clark has handled the pressure and attention that comes her way. "I would say she's navigated it almost flawlessly. She hasn't had any big missteps or mispeaks at a time you are under constant security," Lobo said. "She seemed to say and do all the things right. There's just incredible at a time when it's constant attention and scrutiny. She has not done anything to tarnish this sort of mild persona she has." That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us for more updates. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Millennium News 24. You can also watch us on Android and on iOS devices, as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and latest news with us. Download the Millennium TV app, Millennium TV USA for Android, and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for watching and being part of Millennium News channel.